So I think I got
It's on camera here.
not check.
I'll give it a hold.
We'll give you all the credit. We'll give you all the
Is there
credit.
any-
Oh, I should like one.
Things like that.
You're on camera now.
That's a better angle. All
It's
right,
amazing how
we are live, guys.
down there.
So,
Yes.
welcome everyone. This is the general committee for October 14th, 2025. It is 6 o'clock, and we're going to call this meeting to order. Before we go to the acceptance of the agenda, I think we should go around and introduce ourselves. We know that at this meeting. I will start. I'm Chairman of the Committee Bob Garza from Ward 3.
Rachel Collins, Ward 5.
Jason Gallo, Administrative Services Director.
Jeff Sassy, Ward 3.
Mark Evans, Ward 6.
Casey Lamar, Communications Manager.
Jesse Eckernall, Chief of Operations.
Karen Dixon, Alderman, Ward 4.
Let's go this way.
Dave Mooney, Concerned Citizen.
Don Ward, Alderman, Ward 2.
Matt Elliott, Vice President, Firefighters Association.
Cameron Ingersoll, Finance Director.
Andy Gilly, Parks Director.
David Lucky.
David Beck, Economic Development.
Janet Garten, Ward 5, Alderman.
Thank you, everyone. We need motion for the acceptance of the agenda this evening.
So moved.
Second.
I don't have to say all in favor on that one, do
Oh, we should vote, yeah.
I? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Now to the minutes, we have to get the approval of September 9th minutes of 2025.
Move to approve as submitted.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We have no citizens' comments this evening, so we're going to go right to the ordinances and resolutions. Mike Martin's the sponsor of this first resolution, but I'm going to ask Timothy to speak about it when we get to that point. The reading of ordinance 2025-22 is an ordinance rezoning 3.82 acres located at 311 and 313 East Main Street and 102 Maple Drive on the south side of East Main Street and west of Maple Drive from office plan development and suburban residential low density to general commercial plan development and approving the new Maple Glen comprehensive development plan to govern the development of said property. So before we go any further, Timothy, you could break that down simpler for us, please.
Sure. So this project consists of 3 lots. 2 of the lots are currently zoned office plan development. 1 lot that fronts on Maple Drive is zoned SR1. Together they are 3.56 acres. Proposal is to rezone all of the lots, all 3 lots, from Office PD and SR1 to general commercial plan development. The proposed development in total has 4 buildings on it. The total project entails tearing down the 2 existing brick 2-story office buildings in front on Main Street.
The 2 real old ones.
Correct. Tearing those down, scraping the site, putting up 4 new buildings, single story, total of 31,582 square feet. There will be 1, as approved by the Planning Commission, one full egress on Main Street and 1 on Maple Drive. The project is phased, so it has the potential of staged development where the 2 front office buildings are retained while the 2 new buildings are built in the back. But then at some point in the future, phase 2 occurs, those existing office buildings are torn down and the 2 remaining buildings are constructed.
Do we know this developer, what he's looking to do there? Is there any plans of that at this point?
I'm not aware of any particular uses or businesses. He can certainly speak to that.
Please.
Yes, so we built spec office space in Hendersonville. We have 50 buildings throughout the county, and about 30 of them office. The 2 in the back are office, similar to what we do down on Maple Drive and at Hunt Club in Gallatin at the Kennesaw development. The 2 front buildings, one the bigger one's a retail strip center. Several we've done around as well, and then the 1 smaller building is a quick serve restaurant out parcel. It's real similar in character to the corner of Glenbrook Way and New Shackle next to the Methodist Church. We did that. Got retail strip in the back and a small retail building in the front, and then a Taco Bell within. So that's what the plan is. The reason we're phasing it is we've got tenants in the front two buildings, office users, that we're working with to relocate into the back buildings. And then once we have them relocated, the economic feasibility of the front two buildings is past its prime. So we're looking to upgrade the site. But that's, you know, I don't know, we lease 1,500, 2,000 square feet a month. So, you know, the back two buildings only occupy a year and a half or so. And then the front one, we already discussions with retail.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? All right.
David, this would allow, restaurants?
Yes, ma'am. Small sit down restaurants.
It says quick serve.
Oh, yes, ma'am. The one out parcel with a smaller square building would be like a Taco Bell type or hamburger place.
And that would front Main Street.
Yes, ma'am.
And the current two buildings would be demolished, I guess.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you're basically starting over, which I think it would be great right there. But my only concern is the location of the homes behind there that's on Maple Drive. There's several, well, I guess you can't see them on any of the pictures. There's a couple you could see, but there's lots of homes back there. And it would be very close to homeowners. Have we heard anything? Have we had any kind of outcry over that, or?
I've had a discussion with the gentleman behind the site about selling his property to us to include in the site. So,
Okay.
and then really the three sides of the site, you know, I guess looking across the street, you know, you have the bank and you have the little retirement home, and then on the right, that Simmons lot goes really far back, all the way to our back corner. So the only gentleman that's really touching us is behind what our proposed office building is. But you know, we have several sites that back up to residential, and it's again complementary use. Actually, we have we have 3 office buildings and Hunt Club. All of those back up to residential. I mean, right behind it, our office buildings on Maple Road back up to Indian Ridge. The one office building in Hunt Club backs up to the gated section of Hunt Club. So that's a complementary use. It's very low impact.
And I will say, one of the things the planning commission did, out of the same concern for the nearby residential subdivision, was they limited the uses that are available to those 2 back buildings.
Okay.
To take out of consideration things like restaurant, indoor entertainment, live entertainment, things like that may be more impactful.
To Timothy's point, it's almost purely office use in the back too. There's some other complementary uses.
That was my only question, because on page 16, it has all of the X's are checked for restaurant quick service. And I just wanted to make sure that, because this is a rezoning and not a site plan, that they're protected against having a drive-through, like how the new Starbucks is positioned to the house behind it, I'm comfortable with. But how we did not allow for the coffee place at Bluegrass Landing. That was only 60 feet from their back patio, so that was not, and I just want to make sure that that is protected.
Yes, so that would be, the QSR as it's shown is pretty much, it's kind of locked in place. It could shift a little bit, but certainly we're going to be, and the planning commission will be keen to make sure that it's not pushed back appreciably. And like we said, these The uses that are in this chart here have not been updated to take into account the further limitations
Right.
that were replaced by the planning commission on those back buildings.
That's what I thought was happening, but I just wanted to make sure I understood it properly.
Good question.
So, I will move to send to BOMA with a positive recommendation.
One second.
In favor, say aye. Aye. All right, thank you, guys. Thank you for listening. Number two is the reading is, Mel Clary is here, the reading of resolution 2025-35, a resolution amending the job classification list and pay table. Is this just housekeeping?
Not entirely. We, whenever we have an employee leave, especially in our smaller departments, we look at what opportunities we have there. With parks, with the departure of employee, as well as just evolution of some of the job responsibilities, we see that some of the job responsibilities have changed. And so there might be a need to do a reclassification. Jesse, Andy can probably give you better, more details. I mean, I think that sums it up pretty well. We had our recreation coordinator who left, and we tried to use it as an opportunity to say, is that what we are going to continue to need? And as the programming gets more complex, and we want a person who is going to be able to meet those complexities and recruit someone like that, and then not have them subject to overtime because hours might need to change. Just made a lot of sense from an HR perspective to go ahead and make that change with that position. Then we just kind of looked at the department as a whole, so what makes sense for the department.
And this looks, the things I was reading about the Parks Department, which is in this classification, is so necessary as we continue to grow and we get more parks and we get more visitors visiting our parks, that it's going to be very important that we look at this. I think that's always moving.
Yeah, and the way that, Jason and Andy structured the job positions is that it's going to encompass all the new growth that comes to. So as Durham Farm gets built out, as all the parks continue to expand, it's encompassed within the job descriptions for the top management level of the parks. And then as far as the lower management, like facilities go, their structure is good in terms of how it's basically a command staff. Now they may have to increase in size because we have additional facilities, but the structure that they have in place for their supervisors and their grounds guys is good. This kind of cleans up the top level.
Anything, Rachel? No? Good. Okay.
To send to BOMA with positive recommendation.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Reading of resolution 2025-37. So resolution establishing protocols for media releases and public disclosure related to safe haven baby box surrenders. And Rachel, you're on this one.
Yes, I am. We didn't do anything wrong, but we didn't have a policy in place. And there were a lot of questions, and it was a very emotional event for our entire community. And so being able to have a policy that community steers ourselves and protect the surrenderer and the surrendery is a positive thing.
I think we all do. I'm not speaking for you.
I agree that it's a positive thing. I just don't want to. I know that every situation could be a little different. I don't want to write something in policy that holds us back. And I'm not saying we did. I didn't read any of that in there. That would be my only concern.
Yeah. I spoke with the founder and CEO of Baby Box, and that is one of the things that's in here, is that we would always defer to them, because you can't make a situation perfect that's so incredibly imperfect to begin with.
Yeah.
But they have learned so much about this through their process that I think their policies should be followed to best protect everyone involved and encourage the future use of the baby box. And yeah, they really, one of the things she shared with me is that the timing of the release and the little bit of information we put in has a direct result of having about 75% of the moms end up taking advantage of the free therapy, which in turn helps them learn what the needs are. So they know things that we cannot and should not know about these situations and when to make assumptions about and generalizations and when not to. So I think just knowing that we can defer to them and statements and limit the information is good.
Anything from our information officer or chief?
No, I mean, I think the policy works with what we've all had good discussions about it. And I do think I had similar conversations with Safe Haven after our initial incident that we had. And right, like there's a certain window that they like to release it and we want to stay in line with what that is. There's certain information that they want to share, certain information they want to withhold. I did talk to them about times where other cities have not followed some of their guidelines and it didn't go that well. And so I think it's fine to kind of have some standards in place of what we expect. And like with all things we do, set the standard of how it should be handled in other cities.
That's a good point.
I'd love to argue with that, but I cannot.
Nope.
And likely this would be a template we would make and just repeat. So it's not like as though every time a baby gets surrendered, we're going to pick up the phone. We're going to have something where we said, hey, this is timing. This is what the press release should look like. And maybe we just change the date.
Right.
And so we should have just a playbook ready. And when we have surrendered, we'll know the game plan.
The only thing they says that the sex of the baby should be included. It helps humanize the event.
That's reasonable.
But no age, nothing like that. Nothing that gives too much information.
Right. To identify.
And I think it's easy to say, oh, let's just don't say anything. But one of the things we probably didn't think about in talking with them is that the mothers out there looking for confirmation, proof of life and information. So they do expect us to put something out there. And the timing that they have developed feels like it's the best to protect the identity of the mother, but still give her that mental reassurance that things are okay. And again, the link to resources. So I think they have a really good thing in place for what's a really.
It gives her a minute to be at peace with what she's done before it hits the media, but then she gets that reassurance piece. And it also is another encouraging thing for her to get the therapy that she needs and stabilize. They use the word stabilize the situation. So it's very well thought out. You can't make it perfect, but
Right. You said it best. It's an imperfect situation.
Yeah.
Committee, any motion here, ladies?
I'll make a motion. We'll move it with a positive recommendation.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you so much. We'll be calling you, Mr. Saxby, in a second here. Reading of Resolution 2025-38. It's a resolution recognizing the public benefit of lot mergers and establishing a fee exemption for certain lot merger applications. So if you could give some insight on that, it'd be great.
Yeah, I'd love to. So this is a public benefit for the city to try and help reduce the density and give the developers who are looking at this as a prospect some incentive to do so. This is the state has said you can't de-incentivize certain aspects and parameters, but we can incentivize behaviors that we want from developers. And so I think that this is an opportunity. It's by no means required or forced upon them at all. It's or even really encouraged. It's just out there and available in case they want to do this. They can save a little bit of money in that case of performing a lot merger. The cost to, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but the cost to conduct that merger of two individual lots is about $980 or something like that. And so we would just waive that fee, knowing that it's supporting the public benefit. And
is there a maximum? Instead of 2 to 1, could someone go 4 to 1?
It's a good question. The way it's written, it's just 2 to 1.
No, I understand, but
But that's a very good question, and would be very interested in exploring that further
Okay.
if they wanted to.
Okay. Mr. Lucky, I don't know if you're gave you any insight on this, but you are a developer and lot mergers, is that something that would be advantageous to developers?
Well, anything that saves money makes things more affordable.
But they'll bill less on it.
Well, I think that's probably an economic decision they would make.
Okay. Thank you. Any upset, Jesse?
No, and the way that it's written is that it would only the fee would only be reduced in the situations where density could be reduced. So that would have to be at planning's discretion if there's, if merging two lots wouldn't reduce density, and the public benefit is that there's less traffic.
Oh, absolutely.
So if the public doesn't have if there's no benefit gain, then we wouldn't get to save roughly $1,000. But in cases where they want to join two lots into one, and maybe they have several that they want to do that, each time there's an application fee for that would be waived if you had to reduce density. So I think it could apply whether it's 2 lots, 3 lots. 4
So in theory, if it happened tomorrow, we might see 2 a year.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we may not see it at all, but it's an option.
Okay.
And I don't know if Ray was going to say.
We'll jump in if you think about it. So,
Well,
questions?
I have had that come up.
Okay.
Because somebody owned the lot next to them, not in an HOA type of setting, and they wanted to add on to their house onto that second lot parameters, but they owned it. But so that's a situation where you would want to turn your
Yeah.
2 into 1, so you can add on to your home or make your driveway go in that other lot or whatever,
It's a good point.
without it being a little extra.
And yeah, and it's written in such a way that it gives discretion to the planning department, if I'm right. So it takes us out of it. It puts it in their hands, and they get to just make that call based on what they're seeing the benefit would be for their citizens.
I can't see a disadvantage to it.
Sounds good to me. Unless you have any other questions, I will send it with a positive recommendation.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you, Alderman Sassy.
Thank you.
Number 5, reading of resolution 2025-39, a resolution authorizing an accrued sick time use policy, which provides a mechanism for employees to cash out on a limited basis a portion of their unused sick hours. I believe Mayor Clary's on this one, so.
This is definitely one where I sound smarter if I let Jason speak.
So recently, the board approved the move to the state's medical plan. In that move, our existing plan has a health reimbursement account that's built in. So it's an opportunity for the city to contribute additional funds for the employee as they have visits or they have medical expenses, and it's sandwiched in, so the employee can't use it right away. They have to put some money in front. Then that HRA kicks in, and then after that money is spent, then it kicks back to the employee. With the move to the state plan, they don't offer that. So what, in fact, they have told all of their municipalities and everyone who's in their plan that they can't offer it. So we don't even have the mechanism to offer an HRA to our employees because it's seen as incentivizing the employees to utilize the plan. So what we've created is something that is rather unique. I've not seen this before. Jesse and I've had conversations on this. This isn't something that we often see. We did run the idea by the state first to make sure that they would even be okay with it. But the idea behind it is instead of the HRA dollars that we spend, this would allow employees to use a portion of their sick time that they would already pay for those medical expenses. This allows them to recover some of those costs as it relates to it.
So let me ask you this question.
Sure.
How many sick days a year does an average employee get?
Sure. They're going to get 12 days a year.
Okay.
So 96 hours if it's an 8-hour employee.
Right. Okay. And if they use all those sick hours, which is unusual, I know it can happen, especially if you really do get sick.
Sure.
Then you would not have these funds available to you.
That's right. There are limitations where we have a minimum amount that has to be in the bank in order to begin utilizing it, and that has to remain even after you've done it. So even after you've tapped into it, you have to maintain about a 1-week balance.
Okay.
But in doing that, with the other thing that we've done is 2 of our plans have an HRA. The other one has an HSA, health savings account. So in this would open up to all plans. So
Okay.
it's a different approach, but it's all full-time employees who have sick leave
Right.
would benefit from that. Now, the other part to it is recently the board also approved where excess vacation at the end of the year rolls into sick.
Right.
So you do have that added
Does
benefit.
that have a maximum too?
Vacation has maximum, sick does not.
Okay. Okay. So this is really to help someone who, unfortunately, someone gets sick and they don't have the money to cover it.
Either they don't, or they've upfront the money and they need to figure out a way to make those payments or pay off that portion.
Okay.
In doing the calculations, what I saw is there's about a $3,000 difference in the total out of pocket The upcoming state plan, and with the addition on the market of all the new GLP-1 drugs that people use for weight loss, a lot of the health plans, including the one we're on right now, have all been hit hard. And so they're trying to figure out a way to isolate those costs. So the state plan has even created its own out-of-pocket maximums for GLP-1s.
Oh,
So
you mean Ozempic?
yeah, exactly. That's one of them. So with all of those pieces, we know that employees are going to feel something at some point. Now, majority of our employees are on the what they call the CDHP. It's a consumer-driven health plan that has the HSA with it. That's the majority of our employees, and they'll see the savings.
Okay.
But there are employees that are not. They're on the higher plan because it provides co-payments, and they like that reliability of, I always know to go to the doctor, it's $35,
Right.
whatever.
But that's a choice they make.
Yeah, it's a choice, absolutely.
So, so not forced upon them. So any questions, ladies?
I think so.
Okay. Rachel?
Not right now.
So
I do have some, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So I was reading through this and trying to understand it. So it's for only full-time employees. Why not part-time?
part-time don't receive the medical benefits.
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure. And this would be added as compensation on the W-2, so it's
Yes.
okay. So it's added to their salaries, or it's added as a okay. All right. What's the mechanism for? Is it the EOBs, their individual EOBs that they're bringing, or
So they could bring in EOB. Another way they could do it is like on the app that we have right now through Blue Cross. You can log into that app and it will tell you exactly your year to date that you've spent.
you're out of pocket? Okay.
So we would take that as well.
Okay. Yeah, I've never heard of this. I'm not saying it's a bad
It's
thing.
because we made it up.
My one of my biggest concerns is like who's approving it? Is it just you? And who's is that wise to have just one person approving it? Should there be others approving it? And then what about if there's what we've written in here is it has to be on these, it has to be proven expenses. Are there do you get into decisions about, well, what is included or what can't be?
No. So what we wanted to do is get out of the business of
Okay.
deciding the IRS has a whole list of what qualifies under a health savings account.
Okay.
I'm not trying to repeat or do what the IRS has. If somebody comes in with a receipt for a mattress,
Okay.
I don't want to get in that business.
Okay.
This is as it relates to what expenses hit your medical plan.
Okay. In a calendar year.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
And it's 3,000 or 6,000.
Correct.
Okay. And is there going to be an opportunity for any kind of, I don't want to say grievance, but is there a process for like a second opinion?
An appeal.
An appeal.
Yeah.
We hadn't talked that part through. Not opposed to it.
Okay. I mean, the way you're saying it, I don't know that there's a need for that, but I just kind of want to have another thing in there in case somebody does have you make a decision that, I don't think this is, but there's a question. I want to have that in there that we have that. And what's the oversight other than just you? Is it that there going to be an oversight of, tracking of how much we're spending on this and, who's using it, that kind of thing, and oversight as far as if it's, a good thing versus,
Right. So we are locked into the state's health plan for 2 years.
Right.
So with that, you would at least be looking at, I would say, minimum of at least 2-year commitment because we're trying to tie it to a benefit that is kind of being removed
Okay.
with the employees. So the oversight that we would maybe compare to is we know what we have spent in the HRA dollars for the last several years.
Okay.
So then we could look at, okay, for that pay code, how much have we spent in comparison to what prior HRA dollars?
Okay. I understand the intent and what we're trying to do here, but is there in any way where what we're doing here could be construed as being that we're
Rewarding.
That we're an insurance company.
insurance or that it's preferential for a certain level or type of employee versus another type of employee?
No, so the plans are available for all employees.
Okay.
Again, to what was said earlier, it is a decision for each employee of which plan they want to
Full-time.
elect.
Oh,
Okay.
Yes, thank you. So for full-time employees, they can elect if they want to do the high deductible
Okay.
plan or do one of the other ones, the PPO driven plans.
But whether they do any of these plans or not, as long as they have $3,000 worth of out-of-pocket expenses, they can use this no matter what plan they're on.
Correct.
Okay.
Why would we not just do a flex spending account?
We talked about that.
We did talk about that. Flexible spending account also has the added fees that come with every account that you have. The other part is on flexible spending account, the city takes the risk. So flexible spending accounts are based off a calendar year.
Mhm.
And at the beginning, let's say in December, the employee has to forecast how much money they want taken out.
Mm-hmm.
Then the city has to essentially upfront that money and the employee pays it back through the course of the following year. If the employee leaves, the city is on the hook for that amount, regardless of if the employee has paid back that full amount. So if I set aside $3,000, yeah,
It's limited to $3,000 a year, right?
right,
The added benefit for the employees that it's pre-tax dollars.
correct. It is
So
pre-tax
it's-
dollars.
Like we thought, oh, let's do this because our kids are going to have braces. We still do it. We still max it out.
Mhm.
It works really well for our family.
Yep.
Any pre-tax dollars, I'm in love with that. What kind of the fees are fees paid by the city? And I do know that they're
We have in the past paid that, yeah. So we would be looking at least $5 a person. That's the last initial quote that I saw. I'm still waiting for some other numbers, but then on FSA, you've got to keep in mind you have the medical and you have dependent.
yes.
So I'm also trying to get clarification on if it's one account or one per account. So if I have medical and dependent, then that's $10 for an employee instead of $5
So $4,000.
per month. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and so what's the limit on what you can put into a dependent care? Because I
I'd
obviously
have
don't
to
have that
look.
for-
It's been a minute. That's not something the city has looked at, but we can easily pull it up if we want to look at it.
So honestly, I read it last night, so I'm still kind of processing all of this, but my gut just tells me a flex spending account is an established way to do
Mhm.
things,
Yes.
administered by the outside,
Mhm.
easy, equal,
The difference with that, if you
and
will-
I don't see I'm thinking from the employee's perspective.
Mhm.
It seems like a flex spending account would have more benefits for an employee.
but they don't receive the dollars on an HRA that were spent on their behalf. That's the only difference there. It's on the HRA, the employee wouldn't see it, but the city would spend, if they're on the mid-range plan, up to $2,500 for the employee and up to a total of, another $2,500 for their dependents. So on an FSA, the employees wouldn't see that amount.
Still pretty good numbers though.
Still,
I think, and this is if you don't mind,
Please.
if I just go, I'll probably just maybe go high level. I think an FSA might be a good option as well. When we were looking at the state's plan, we said, really, we didn't know at the time that the state prohibits HRAs. And they basically said, you cannot offer this. We can't offer it. So then we said, okay, we found an independent provider to do an HRA. And they said, no, not only will we not provide the HRA or manage it, we will not let you guys have an independent provider. So that was off the table. So then we said, okay, we looked at all the deductibles out of pockets and we said, how many of the plans are going to have a higher out of deductible pockets? And most of the employees won't. Most of the employees have a lower out of pocket, but there are a couple plans that do have higher out of pockets, and one of them was $3,000 more. So we said, how do we manage the $3,000? Because with the FSA, you'd have to put money in. As an employee, you don't know, maybe you're going to break your arm that year. And if you haven't put money into an FSA, if you're going to have another $3,000 that you pay that year, can we provide a mechanism where they can just cash out something that's in their bank? And that's where we've come up with this idea. And we haven't heard of it before, but we thought, okay, if they have money, if they have hours in a bank, because I've been here 4 years, I have over 300 hours of sick time. And I had COVID too for a while, so I was out. So I used sick time, but I still have 300 hours in the bank where, say in my example, I didn't put maybe money into an FSA or an employee's similar situation. You know, they break an arm. They have a mechanism where their premiums, most of them are lower through the state, but now they have a mechanism that they're out of pocket. It's also not any higher than it was through the city because we don't have the HRA mechanism. And so that's kind of where we were going with it. And we thought, well, it's not a huge financial impact to the city because some of the time, you know, the employees earn that time. And it's a little more valuable to cash that, in my opinion, to cash that out at 100% rather than roll it into necessary retirement for some employees. So it gives an option to help mitigate some of the extra costs where an employee might not elect to contribute. You know, to come up with 300,000, you have to do, you know, a substantial amount every month into the FSA. So if an employee doesn't do that, but then they have an incident, there would still be another mechanism where we could potentially cash some of their time out and help offset it. So, I mean, we don't necessarily have to do anything. Like, we don't have to offer it. We thought, hey, in these situations, what's the most effective way to do it? And let's say an employee didn't elect to do an FSA.
Well, young employees or new employees, not young necessarily, you know, based on everything I hear about how expensive it is to live today, they don't have that extra money to put in there. I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, you can't put $10 in.
Yeah, and generally, people. I mean, I already have over 300 hours, you know, so it could be an option. It could be an option too for folks to incentivize them, maybe not to abuse sick time. If they know there's some benefit to that, they can cash it out if something unexpected happens to.
I don't want to encourage people to come to work sick though.
Right.
I mean, I
Right.
hope that's not what
that would
happen,
be
but.
it.
There's always going to be
But
an
I think
exception to
of,
that.
like, people who have kids, little kids, and both parents work, they all get the sick 1 week after the next. They miss a lot of sick time. And if they had a flex spending account, they could have pre-tax dollars going towards their daycare. And they're not going. I mean, when my kids were little, and we were both working, there was no sick time. And we used vacation time to cover what didn't get eaten up by the sick time. We didn't get to go on vacation because we didn't have it. Because somebody was always with the strep throat or the whatever. And, you know, I don't know, not all families look alike. So I think back to those days for my family, and this would not be of really any significant impact to me at that time in my life. Now, it would be different, but
Southie, you want to add something to this?
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
What administrative burden are we putting on the city with this? Because we're going to be cutting checks associated with this.
So we'd be running it through payroll. So it's part of our normal payroll process. We've talked about in this case that you can do it twice a year. So we're not doing it every payroll. We don't expect that a lot of employees, especially in the months of like January through about April, you're not going to see people who have maximized those amounts that quickly. That's pretty rare.
Yeah.
But the idea would be not that we're cutting additional checks, is that we're adding it on to their payroll check that they're getting. So then it's reported as wages.
You guys are speaking like there's very few employees that this would impact, so it wouldn't be that big of a burden. Is that
I don't.
what we're looking at?
I mean, if the numbers stay the same for what we're looking at, we've got about a little less than or around 80 employees who are on those plans in comparison to majority who are on the high deductible plan. That may shift a little bit. You know, that's the unknown for us is with the move to the state, how many people are going to make the move. So it's a guess, honestly, what it is. But based off of that, we're, you know, with all 300 employees, we're touching every one of them with either a longevity check or some sort of, you know, additional form of payment, whatever it might be. So we're touching a number of people each payroll.
No, that's right. Being our finance chair, I got to ask the dollars and cents.
Mm-hmm.
So, compared to the HRA, what is the financial burden on the city?
Hard to know without what people will use, because this opens it up beyond the current allowance, if you will, as far as employees. Right now, only employees who are on a PPO with the HRA are eligible for that amount. So we've spent a year over year about $80,000, though the actual value of it's in the range of about 300,000. So if every person on the plan or every plan maxed out, that's what we'd be looking at. Realistically, we've looked at about around 80,000. Not limiting it, hard to know what people will submit for.
Okay.
Now the state's plan has come in, the cost has come in. This
Love
is, we don't know what plan people are going to sign up for. But initially it looks to be like it will be a little bit lower.
When do they start signing up? Next month?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jason's trying to schedule this. So this was an idea of how do we replace the HRA? State won't let us do it. So is there an option to kind of backfill the HRA? And this was something, I think FSA is a good option too. I think it's good for employees. It won't necessarily, unless the employee's putting in, I think they serve maybe a little different.
You have a lot of burden for education on the flex spending account because people don't get it.
But you can do both.
Yeah.
But it's like getting your daycare up to the limit, which is nowhere near what daycare costs, for 25% off.
Yeah.
And when your kid needs, glasses, contact lenses, braces, all the things, 25% off. And from the consumer's perspective, then you can pay for it at once. And so then you usually get $1,000 off of your orthodontics that way too, because you can pay for it day one. And I understand what you're saying about the risk of if they leave, but if they leave and they haven't spent as much as they've put in, then we keep that money. And how many people leave per year?
So we have a number of people who do leave throughout the year. The real big issue becomes the retirements that people have are based off of fiscal year. And so we see a number of them leave at the end of June. And so those people have set aside large amounts. And I only say this from past experience at other employers. They'll set aside something for, say, a knee surgery. So they set aside the money in an FSA. They have the knee surgery and then they retire, but they haven't paid back that full amount. So.
Okay. So the risk is there's a risk. Because
There is a risk
somebody could
financially.
leave they could do that on purpose and leave January 2nd.
Absolutely. Sure.
But the legitimate risk is $1,500
If you're cutting it in half.
if it's flex spending and they leave in June because that's when they retire.
Mhm.
For how many ever people retire that year. It's not either or. We can do both.
Yeah.
And so with that in mind, I do want to send it with a positive recommendation to BOMA. I am still thinking about this and I'm certain I will be emailing you some more questions. But at the same time, I really do want to encourage us to look at a flex spending account. $48,000 is not small, but I think the benefit, I don't know how many people we have with kids in daycare, aside from the medical, but I do know that daycare is a huge burden and a huge problem for families. And getting a portion of that at 25% off seems like a really good way for us to attract young working people and particularly women, frankly. That's probably more of an issue in their minds sometimes. Shouldn't be, but maybe. So that's my motion to move it forward. Positive.
I think I'm neutral.
Okay.
So I may have to.
Well, I'll withdraw and we can send it neutral.
I'll second that.
Okay. Let me say this before I ask for the vote. First of all, great job on finding ways to help our employees cover some expenses that would not be covered with the new plan.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions. I understand that, but that's what a strong city does. They look to help their people. Is it always perfect? If it always was, we'd not have any of these things. So I'm actually for it, but, I will, all in favor, send this to Boma in a neutral reaction. Please say aye. Aye. Thank you for that, guys. Okay, we're at other agenda items. I guess this is gonna be just request of city to demolish vacant houses.
The house isn't vacant.
He's on vacation. He was on vacation. So,
Yeah, right.
You said
I
vacant.
wanted to add this. I don't know if Cassie had.
Define vacant from a legal perspective before we start the conversation
Well, I think,
versus unoccupied, for example.
I think, Derek Garza said that in jest, I think Mayor Clary is actually the one who asked about, demolition.
no, I'm aware. He just left before he got here.
Yeah. So I'm not actually. discussing
Oh, okay.
it.
We'll just table this to another time then. And, there's no other business unless someone has something they want to bring up for the general committee. Let's make a motion to.
Second.